Humans have an indomitable spirit, but when faced with the cold reality of the universe, we're but a mere tiny speck. At least, that's how it had been so far. With the power of the Medusa, humanity would no longer be confined to the planet, as we would venture out far and beyond, past the shackles of our solar system. Our progress would be astronomical, quite literally, allowing us to develop technologies that could be used to live the best lives possible. Alas, this was but a mere pipe dream. The one working Medusa that was brought back to Earth by Team Senku was kept a closely guarded secret amongst the New World elite. The Medusa is a cruel gift to humanity, and as Senku called it, a forbidden fruit. A fruit never meant to be eaten, but only observed from afar. While the manga ends on a positive note where all of humanity is saved by Senku, I really wanted to push the limits and ask, if we got a Medusa today, what would happen? What would the consequences of such an important technology be? Are we doomed to repeat the same mistakes as our predecessors? Or would we triumph over our differences and come together as one? Well, to understand these details, we first need to look at what the Medusa is and how it operates. The Med is just one part of a cluster that forms the Y-Man. A machine lifeform, it's devoted to surviving by petrifying other lifeforms it considers intelligent. If the petrified subjects use a lot of brain power, they can undo the petrification quite easily and realize that the petrification is a godly power that can essentially allow them to live forever. This thing can even bring people back from the dead. Yet this ability is so broken. All of this is in the hopes that a developed civilization will continue to power the Medusa, thus keeping the life form alive. The manga calls them a machine parasite, but I'd liken the relation to a symbiotic one instead. But let's take a slight detour and talk some technical details first. Number 1. The Medusa is small and light, making it easy to carry around and use. Number 2. The range over which the Medusa has successfully operated is 1 meter to 12.8 million meters, meaning it can encompass the entire planet. Number 3. The time taken for the petrification wave to travel can be adjusted, but once set, the wave velocity is constant. Number 4. The target for the petrification can be changed to any living creature, but it seems to only target one species at any given time. Number 5. The Medusa communicates via radio waves, which it can block too. This will come in handy later on. Number 6. The regenerative effects of the depetrification can restore vitality and repair internal organs, but it can't replace missing limbs. It can also revive people from the dead, but this application might be limited by cell decay. Number 7. The body of the Medusa can rust and damage the internal components. Number 8. The Medusa runs on a very precisely manufactured diamond battery, but this battery can be made by humans. These properties allow the Medusa to essentially be a god-tier item for humanity. But as with all things, there are always two sides to a coin, and the Medusa is no different. The simple fact is that the Medusa isn't inherently good or bad, and I think Dr. Stone does a fantastic job of really hammering this fact down. I mean, just take a look at nitric acid. While it can be used to produce the revival fluid which can save humanity, it is also a key ingredient in the production of gunpowder. It is not the tools that are good or evil, but the users of said tool. Us. I have no idea what today's bad news is, but so as to not end the video on a sour note, let's take a look at some of the bad endings first. Scenario 1. Multiple factions would fight for the Medusa in order to gain supremacy, and a huge world war would break out. Since nuclear weapons exist, the world would most likely be reduced to ashes and humanity is wiped out along with the Medusa. Scenario 2. It's the same as Scenario 1, but one faction manages to get their hands on the Medusa before a nuclear war starts. This faction then becomes the de facto ruler of Earth and can rule however they like. Scenario 3. The Medusa that comes to Earth runs out of battery. An arms race then breaks out, with every nation trying to reverse engineer the Medusa. Maybe the potency of the human Medusa isn't that great, but the threat is enough to draw a stalemate between all the powers in the world. This would mean that our world doesn't change much from today, the only difference being our capability to destroy ourselves, which levels up astronomically, as well as a geopolitical advantage for whichever country develops the Medusa first. I personally think that Scenario 2 is the most likely scenario, since who wouldn't want to get their hands on this weapon of extreme destruction for themselves? If they get their hands on this, they can rule the world. A military dictatorship would most likely follow. Having said all of this, there is of course a high chance that other man-made Medusas would appear in due course and a fight for revolution would follow. If man-made Medusas become industrially produced, things like a delayed strike hypersonic missile with a Medusa warhead might become the norm. What is this thing that I just described? Let me explain to you. You would first want to create a dome of Medusas that prevents radio communication with the outside world. As a Medusa only targets living creatures, a Medusa warhead can be used to petrify everyone, followed by a delayed strike of a conventional warhead, destroying all of the statues without the target nation being able to call on any reinforcements. But this isn't nearly enough. Humans can be truly sadistic, willingly so given the circumstances, and I'm sure that we can come up with some heinous techniques too. So why am I going through this in such specific detail? Because these horrors and other fates worse than death would most likely become reality if such a mythical item ever were to exist. Human nature is to be greedy and do anything to survive. I think that's enough reason to believe that we would end up with scenario number 2, especially given how our world is right now. I would hate to imagine the consequences this kind of technology can bring if it falls in the wrong hands. But that's enough gloom and doom. The applications of the technology to do bad are numerous, but we can do just as much good too. Yes, I know what you're thinking. I just bashed humanity for a solid couple of minutes. But while humans can be truly despicable, we also actually have the power to be extremely empathetic and kind towards our fellow humans. So let's say that humanity is able to change and become a society that is egalitarian, prioritizing the good of all. In this case, the Medusa would be a gift that keeps on giving. Things like cancer would be eradicated instantly. People would live in peak physical condition for their age and never have to suffer lasting pain. The restorative properties of the Medusa would allow everyone to live their lives to the fullest potential. Also, since the beam can target any living subject, our pets would also live the best lives. The level of technology that's possessed by humanity would skyrocket, and space exploration would become so much easier since we can remain petrified as we travel across the galaxy. New technologies and professions like asteroid mining would become prevalent, and Earth would greatly benefit from all the rare and unique materials collected in interstellar space.
Chicken jockey!
As we venture deeper into space, if we were to find hostile aliens like the Combine from Half-Life 2, I think we would be able to take on those external threats on more than an even footing and protect ourselves. Except if they were machine lifeforms similar to the Medusa, then we might be a little bit But could you imagine just how powerful a Medusa-wielding Dr. Freeman would be? With his PhD in pushing carts and his natural talent of using guns better than trained Marines, I think he could absolutely destroy the Combine. With the Medusa also acting as a mentor AI, sort of like Cortana, major leaps in all fields would take place, especially science and technology. Would we need to
Prepare for unforeseen consequences.
Of course, but with humanity's internal struggles reduced, the hope is that we would be united in our progress going forward. And here is where I propose the best case scenario. We're able to build a time machine with the Y-Man and send all of our knowledge and ideals of a perfect civilization to the dawn of humanity. If humanity grows with this knowledge and perfect morality, the hope of a united race would no longer be a dream, and we would catapult far ahead of where we are right now.
Wake up to reality.
Do you know what I've just described to you? I've described to you the perfect end to a fairy tale. A fairy tale which does not fit well within the logical framework of Dr. Stone. We must be realistic, and this is why Senku likens the magical item as a forbidden fruit. A secret that must be kept only to those who desire humanity's progress. Riichiro Inagaki, the author of Dr. Stone, thought of humanity as their own biggest hurdle from the very beginning of the manga. This is why he always stressed that nothing is inherently good or bad, but how we use something determines which category it falls into. Can you imagine how much shorter the manga would be if everyone decided to side with Senku and help him reach the moon? The manga might not even have 100 chapters, and this is exactly Inagaki-san's point. If humanity united together, we would be unstoppable, but as we are right now, we are our own final antagonist to overcome.